All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Mark Strickland here. Had to excuse the weather a little bit here. It's kind of overcast and drizzly here on the homestead, so I'm gonna get outside and do a little bit of walking this morning, or excuse me, this afternoon. We didn't click past noon time. All right. I'm telling everybody's going to do another video here on stress and managing stress, because we're in some kind of unique times here for the country. So figured people could use some quick examples here, and some hopefully you'll find these suggestions and tips helpful. This is just stuff that I've learned through the years, some of the training that I participated in, and how they helped us learn a new skill and get through something new for the first time. Okay. First off, we're going to break it down. We're going to get into the causes of stress. What's causing the stress for you? Basically, you're dealing with a new situation or something unknown, and you're doing it for the first time. And you just get anxious. You don't know what you're doing. You're trying to figure out, like anything when you're doing it, learning a new skill or something new for the first time, you're awkward in how you do it. You're very choppy in your movements. And you're having a hard time dealing with it and processing what it is you have to do. Basically, your body and your mind is figuring out for the first time, so it's rough and hard to do, and that will cause stress for you. All right. Basically, we'll look at what's going on there. To do that, to understand this, what's going on, we have to look at the brain. And in your brain, the human mind operates on three levels. It's the neocortex, the limbic, and the reptilian. Neocortex is your highest level functioning brain. You're making complex decisions, prioritizing what's going on. Got my notes here. And that's where we as humans operate on a daily basis under normal conditions, is in the neocortex. All right, you get stressed, you drop from the neocortex down to the limbic. At the limbic, you're making basic decisions. You're not able to, at that point, you lose the ability to do the high level, complex prioritization stuff, and you're basically making basic yes-no decisions. You get more stress, and then you'll drop from the limbic into the reptilian. Reptilian is basically, that's where you freeze up and you don't go, you can't do it, you can't make a decision. That's everybody's heard the fight or flight. Somebody startle you. Some people's reaction is to fight back. Some people's reaction is to freeze, and that's part of the defensive mechanisms. Those that fight, that's a trained reaction, and you can learn that. And if you freeze up and you hit the reptilian and you lock up, you can't do anything. And I'll give you an example on where that happens and where we see that. All right, so we got some tips here on how to manage or mitigate your stress levels to keep you out of the reptilian, and at a minimum, you want to stay in the limbic, possibly in the neocortex, where you can make decisions and process things and keep moving forward. Okay, the best way to do this is to develop you some what-if scenarios. Think, like, to give you an example, we're all dealing with this coronavirus thing here. Think about things that may happen to you where you are right now. Just think the wildest, most crazy possible scenario that you can think of, and think it through. And okay, if this happens, then I do that. If something else happens, what are your responses to that? And that's when I say think it through. That's what you want to do. You want what-if scenarios. If something, you come up with a possible scenario that could happen, and then you come up with your range of options and how you would solve that. And do that for multiple scenarios if possible. You want to think these things through and then write them down if you can. Basically, the act of writing it down, that's just one way to get it into the memory and make it go into the long-term memory so you can retain it. That's the purpose of writing this stuff down. Okay, now, if you have a spouse or a significant other, you want to include them in these exercises. Now, if you have children or younger or your younger kids or whatnot, and other or extended family there with you, friends, include them at an age-appropriate level. You're helping them do the same thing. They're now, by doing this, if something happens, you're not seeing it and having to think about it for the first time. If you've thought about it, what if it through, and ideally written it down, all right, you've got that memory stored away in your mind somewhere. Now your mind has something to go to pull from, and that reduces your stress level, keep you from dropping to a lower level brain, to keep you at the highest level possible, so that you can still function. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example of where we've seen this. I go back to my days when I was doing security in D.C. at federal buildings. One of the buildings I was managing, it underwent a major renovation to the point that they went in and actually physically relocated some of the emergency exits in the building. They moved the location. I mean, this was they ripped out floor plates. I mean, they had to have heavy equipment in there. Building new floors out, moving the stairs, and it was an extensive renovation. I spent a lot of money on this building. And because they moved the emergency stairs, I had to rewrite my emergency plan for the building. And in doing so, we had to, on how, basically it was the plan on if something happened, say a fire or something that I had to do an evacuation over where I had to tell my guards, here's where the new exits are. We had to understand the building and how you got out, so that we could then work with the people that were in the building. We had about 5,000 employees in there, on how we would get them out. And when I was giving this training to as people started moving back into the building after the renovation, that was part of the training. I said, okay, some of the emergency exits have moved. And my suggestion was then during lunchtime, you, instead of taking the elevator, walk the stairs. So you're not doing it the first time. So you'll understand it and know how to get out of it. And the reason why, because when we were rewriting our emergency plans for the building, I brought in the fire department, because we had to have, now because the building went such a major change on when they rolled up with an apparatus on bringing the ladder truck to get people out that couldn't use the stairs for mobility reasons. I wanted the fire department, where their job was to come in and tell me where they were going to pull the truck up to, so that I can make sure that I had people with mobility issues go to those points so the fire department could get them out. And in doing these talks and walking the building and talking with the fire department, one thing they shared with me, they said 90% of the fatalities they found in commercial buildings were found in the emergency stairs. And what they were saying is people basically got into the stairs, got lost. They couldn't make the decision to go up or down, because in the emergency stairs, that's your choice. You either go up or you go down. People couldn't make that decision, and they stood there, they froze up in the emergency stairs and died. So that's why you don't want to be doing something for the first time under stress, which goes back to why you want to think it through, come up with possible scenarios. What you're doing is you're mapping out the neuron path, because people call it muscle memory. It's really not muscle memory. The muscles are there either on or off. And so by what you're doing is you're mapping out that neuron path, so you're not doing it for the first time. And the physical act of getting up, opening the door, and walking down the stairs, the mind knows what it's going to do, because you've already done it before under non-stressful. It's not for the first time, and extreme stress. Okay, your building's on fire, or in this case of the coronavirus, and you're having to react to something at your home, or you're out in town, you're having to react to a situation. You've thought it through. Quick example: say you pull up to a Walmart parking center, or to a shopping center, and you got to go in and get something, and as you're getting out of your car, you're confronted by 2 or 3 people. If you haven't thought about this, and thought about your actions, what are you going to do? I mean, if you're trained in hand-to-hand self-defense and you're okay, yeah, you're good. But if you're not, if you haven't thought these scenarios through, you don't know how you're going to react. You're going to get stressed. Possibility you drop down from the neocortex to the limbic. Depending on their aggressive level, you may go into the down to the reptilian. And at that point, you're at their mercy, and bad things can happen. So that's one of your scenarios. Okay, when you pull into the parking lot, first thing you do is you do a scan. Within 2 or 3 car lengths around you, you scan the parking lot. You don't see anything, then you do a deeper scan, 40, 50 feet away, or about 40, 50 feet away. A couple of more than 10 car lengths away from you, looking around. If you see anything, okay, if you're clear, you get out. If you see somebody and you see them watching you, okay, maybe you want to watch them. At that point, you've taken their surprise away from them. Now you're in control. Now we get into this thing called OODA loop, which I'll do a video on that. But there's a ton of OODA loop videos out there on YouTube. It's OODA, Observe, Orient, Decide, Act. Decision process that the human brain goes through, and how you make decisions on when you're going to do something, and how long and basically how long it takes you to do it if you've never thought about it before. So You can Google that and find those, or find YouTubes. I made through a quick one on OODA. There's not a lot to it. It's pretty simple stuff once you understand it. All right, so now we got the examples of why we're doing these what-if thought exercises, because basically you now have, you've done this, you've thought about this, you've planned out your possible reactions, and so you're not doing it for the first time, so now you can move right into your reactions of what you're going to do, and allows you to think, and basically your ability to now stay at the higher brain level. Okay, so we talked about the mapping of the neuron. You're not dealing with it the first time. That's the whole purpose of this, to stay in the highest brain thing possible. All right, practical stuff that you can do. Kind of simple stuff here. First thing you want to do is get out for yourself, get some exercise, get out and do things outside, like I am now. I'm taking my walk. Do some yard work, work on an outdoor project. You want to get outside and get it. The act of actually doing that will help you manage your stress, because now you're increasing your fitness level by doing physical, PT. You getting out, getting some exercise, get the blood pumping. You're trying to increase your fitness level. That's going to help you. Family stuff. Okay, get your family involved in this. Get them outside. You have a spouse, have kids. Okay, teach them how to build a fire. That may be important here coming up real soon, depending on how crazy things get. I mean, things getting kind of crazy, so the ability to build a fire, that's a huge confidence booster for most people. Cook over a campfire. Let's practice that. That's a good skill to have. Maybe if you got young kids, go camping. Teach them how to take them fishing. Teach them how to catch fish, how to clean fish. Nothing else, you're getting the kids out doing the old school stuff that we did back in my day growing up. So get out and do that kind of things. Take them for a walk in the woods. Teach them how to identify trees and things. Kids love that stuff. They'll get here again. It's all about getting outside and getting active, getting them out of the house, unplug off the electronics, and getting out of this constant 24 news cycle that we're in. So that's what I got right now on this. Is here again, this is all about managing your stress. It's the 3 levels. Now hopefully you understand, you got the 3 levels of brain. Your objective is to stay in the highest level possible. You do that by not having to deal with something for the first time. You've thought about this, and you've practiced, and you've done it, and so it's not something for the first time. So now your brain has something to go to that it can use it. Now you can use that in your decision-making process. So again, got any questions on this? We're going to put this up on Facebook. I'll post to Facebook first, then I am going to throw this up on the YouTube channel. So hey, got any questions or anything on this? Drop in the comments below. Reach out to us, email, contact me on Facebook. Answer what questions I can. Be safe out there, and we'll be talking soon.